Hi everyone and Happy New Year. I am Andres Fonseca and welcome to the Rua-Tek Technical Podcast. Today we're going to talk about DNS basics and we have the pleasure of welcoming our CTO, Pablo Charpentier.
Thank you, Andres. Very excited to talk about DNS today. Let's go ahead and start it.
Great. Pablo, first question. Can you tell us what is DNS and why it is a critical service for an organization?
Sure. DNS was invented to be something like a phone book of the internet. So basically, it's going to help us map domain names to IP addresses. So, for example, when we go to google.com or when we try to go to google.com, we're actually trying to go to an IP address, right? So DNS, what it does is basically it grabs the fully qualified domain name that we're trying to use in our browser. It's going to translate it into an IP. Okay. Why is it critical? Okay. I'm going to tell you why it's critical. Number one, without DNS, everyone would have to remember the IP addresses of all the services, and that's impossible, right? So that's why we need to use DNS. Why is it critical, right? Number one, service routing. This is the way we publish our applications out to the internet. We will use DNS to map our website, which would be www.ruatek.com, and that would map to an IP address. Additionally to that, we also will publish if we have any tools that are published out to the internet, we will publish them using DNS and mapping the IP addresses from those fully qualified domain names to IP addresses. And the second part is identity. This is the way we brand our digital presence. So I think that's why, that's DNS and that's why it's critical.
Thanks, Paulo. Now we know what DNS is, but I have another question for you. What impact does a DNS outage have on a company's operations?
Okay, so as far as an impact, when only DNS goes down, and we've seen this, in the past and recently, the most that I remember was the attack that was provided to Dine, and with that down, there was a bunch of services that were completely out in the air. But the thing is that internet's not broken; it's working, right? We have the highway; it's working, but we don't have any maps or GPS to be able to get to our destination. So what happens when DNS is broken? Number one, we have a total blackout. Our employees are not able to use their internal tools if it's an internal problem or an external problem. We can't use, tools that we have in software as a service. We can get to our email. So definitely total blackout, uh, either internally or externally. Then we have revenue loss, right? If we have tools that we are publishing out to the internet and people are using it and they're paying for it, we're gonna have revenue loss. If we're a bank, people can't get to us, we're gonna have revenue loss. If it's a government entity and people can't get to this website because DNS is down, they can't pay their bills, you know, revenue loss. Then we have the part of communication breakdown where our emails are not going to be working. We're not going to be able to use Teams or Slack. So we're completely, we're not going to be able to communicate with other people. And last but not least, the internal paralysis, right? We have most of the companies internally use Active Directory. Active Directory will not function without DNS. And this, is going to create chaos within the company. So yeah, these are the impacts that can be had in a company if DNS goes completely down.
Understood, Pablo. Now we know why DNS is a critical service, but I have another question for you. How DNS works?
Right, that's interesting. So basically, DNS has a hierarchical step-by-step process called recursion. And recursion, basically what it will do is it will look at the data that it has right now, and if it doesn't have that data, it's going to go out and look for it. So number one, we're going to have what we call a recursive resolver, and I think I can show you this in a tool that I found that I think could be useful for this. So let me go ahead and share with you my
Please go ahead. It will be very helpful.
yeah, let's see this. 1 second. Let me get to share my screen here. So let me know when you can see my screen. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so basically we have an operating system, and this operating system will have what we call a stub resolver. And that stub resolver, what it will do is going to go out and talk to either a local DNS server or a server that's providing DNS services out in the internet, like my ISP DNS servers or Google or Cloudflare, whatever we have. Okay. So talking about recursion, what's going to happen? We're going to go ahead and type in a name that we want to use. For example, let's go ahead and use a10networks.com. All right. So basically, I'm asking, my operating system is telling the stub resolver, go ahead and go look for www.a10networks.com. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on play, and it's going to go through the whole process. Just to let you know, what's going to happen is once I click on enter, the stub resolver is going to look for its internal cache and say, do I have this IP address and this name association within my information? It doesn't have it, so it's going to send it out to the router. The router is going to receive it. Once the router receives that, it's going to go ahead and say, okay, this is going out to the internet. I'm going to send it to an external DNS server that has recursion available. And the first step it will do is going to go out and talk to the root servers. The root servers say, hey, you know what? We know this domain. We don't own it, but I'm going to go ahead and send you out to the top level domain servers. It will send us to the top level domain servers, and the top level domain servers are going to say, hey, you know what? I know this domain. I don't own it, but I'm going to send you to the authoritative DNS server. And these are the servers that own that specific zone. Then once the server goes out and looks for the authoritative server, it will go ahead and provide that answer. So I'm just going to click play here, and I'm going to try to explain where things are going. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and play. Then the traffic goes to the router goes to the DNS server. We go to the root servers, then top level domain servers, and last but not least, authoritative domain server. Okay. So what happens here is that we already have our answer. So we asked for www.a10networks.com, and now we got the IP address for this name. So this, in a nutshell, this is how DNS works, Andres.
Thanks, Pablo. It was a great explanation. And based on what you have shown us, can you tell us what the two main DNS roles are?
Sure. So architecturally, we generally split DNS into two primary functions. Okay. So the first one is recursive DNS, and it's usually the client-facing side. It does the heavy lifting for searching the internet for DNS names. So this is basically going out to the internet and looking for DNS name. And basically its job is to provide the correct IP address for for the fully qualified domain name. Now we have on the other side the authoritative DNS, and this is basically the owner side of DNS. So we own the domain. We basically hold the zones and the actual records where the single point of truth as far as domain zones and domain records. Okay. Basically, it will not go out looking for answers. It will answer the authoritative DNS queries.
Thanks, Pablo. So in conclusion, we can say that DNS is a fundamental part of how internet works. And when it's working, we barely notice. When it fails, everything stops.
Exactly. This is something that, we're trying to evangelize on. Basically, DNS is critical, and DNS will be critical internally and externally. One of the things that I've learned, in the past, doing a lot of external DNS implementations, doing GSLB implementations, link load balancing implementations, we find that, it's overlooked. So we see a lot of companies investing in load balancers, firewalls, all this type of infrastructure, but they actually don't have resilience, high availability for their external DNS or their internal DNS.
Understood, Pablo. And finally, thank you, Pablo, and you all for being here today. We hope you enjoyed this episode and find it helpful. See you in our next one.
Thank you. Bye.